You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Made something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go and you know those crystal truths. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the mission. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the mission. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Are we ready? You're back. You must be ready. You came back for some more exploration. That's right, exploration into the unknown of you. That's all it is, an unknown of you. The unknown of you by your egoic system and body, and the recalling of your higher being, a merging, a cosmic merging. Welcome to the next now moment in your life experience. Cosmic. The spirit of the living creator is knocking at your door, the door of your heart, your unconditional heart. It's knocking at that door, reminding you that you are yummy, exquisite. You are sensationally precious. And you are a spiritual being come in human form to express, to embody, to evolve, and to do it all over again. Are you ready, Marcus? I'm ready.
I am ready. I am definitely ready. I can already feel such a beautiful momentum in this space. And yeah, I just wanted to say grand day to everybody and welcome to another episode. Really grateful to be here. And how is everybody out there? Feel free to drop in the comments how you're feeling today on this beautiful Wednesday, this Mercury Gemini day, as you have two Geminis here hosting the show. But, other than that, I'm just feeling really good, feeling really clear, feeling really empowered, feeling really grateful, and feeling really grounded. Just feeling this really, really beautiful opening of, speaking truth, speaking honesty, and just continuing to stay firm in the truth, holding integrity, not being swayed by opinions, not being swayed by judgments, not being swayed by misunderstandings, and just truly staying true to what is in the heart. That has been one of my biggest themes lately. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm ready for what Ra has for us today.
Yummy. And guess what, peeps? My book 3 came. I told you, 5 books. Book 3 came. All right. The divine just kind of like it was at my door, and it was in the divine timing. Divine timing isn't about the divine timing it for you. It's about what you're thinking at the moment that you're thinking and how much you're embodying it. And I kept telling the divine, I want more of this. I literally, I'm on a high for 2 days after we do at least the day of, and the next day I'm on a raw high. Right? Enjoying this information that's being given.
A raw high.
Yeah, you got that right. Okay. But it's about wisdom and understanding being imparted to us. And guess what? It's not you have to take it how Sandee gives it or how Marcus gives it. It's how you express it, how you create with it. Go ahead, get creative with it. I implore you to put on that let that inner child come out and play with all the information that you're taking. If you auto write, right? If you auto write, put the pencil and the paper down and listen to what resonates with you, and write or draw or sketch or paint while you're doing it, or even meditate while you're listening. It's not necessary for you to look at us, but listen to the vibrations and the octaves of not the vessel that's delivering it, but the vessel that's allowing that energy to come through. That's the divine, no matter what you call it. So are we ready? I attune myself to the creative impulses that indwell in me and seek to express in, through, and as me, as the creative creator flows through me as I read. You take what resonates and you leave what doesn't. So here we go. Okay. So the divine wants me to read the last question that we had read on Sunday. The questioner says, hold on a second. I would like to know or like to ask for the same type of information with respect to Adolf Hitler. And that's all the divine wants me to say. That's what we were talking about. Okay. So I implore you, go back to Sunday's live. You can find it on Marcus's YouTube and my YouTube, and check that out. We're going to continue. All right. Did you like that little plug? All right. So let's get going. The questioner says, the divine wants me to read the last paragraph before the questioner begins to ask. Ra was saying, we have advised and suggested caution and patience in previous communications and do so again. Using the entity as an example of over hastily opening the polarization without due attention to the synthesized and integration of mind, body, spirit complex. To know yourself is to have the foundation upon being grounded. The hashtag that Marcus has set up for him. Know thyself. Go within and find out what blue ray or green ray or yellow ray or red ray, or where are you at within yourself? And the divine says, are you too busy judging everybody else's red ray and green ray and yellow ray that you're not doing the best housekeeping that you can do for you? We're so busy judging the negative of everybody else and where they sit in their expression of life that we're not constantly being vigilant and giving ourselves grace. Ross says, know yourself, or to know yourself is to have the foundation upon firm ground. Going all the way past the root, right back into the consciousness of earth, of the earth. It is believed, you don't have to believe it, that earth consciousness started this playground because she wanted to play in form. She wanted to take her formless and put it into form, and then she wanted to play with shifting and evolution, and she invited everybody to her playground. So every body that we have, there are well over 8 billion, almost over 8 billion people in the world that have an avatar that's holding a higher being, whether we believe in it or not, or whether we've acknowledged it or not, that came to this playground. And they sculpted you to play. If you don't like the way you're sculpted, go inward to know thyself and find and ask the one that sculpted you. Don't be busy about everybody else's avatars. Don't go next door to the Joneses, trying to be like them. Know thyself. Don't be so busy trying to pass judgment on people that are no longer, are bodies that are no longer living. But we spend a lot of time in other people's past. That was the divine. I didn't think that was going to come out my mouth. But I had to literally go into that at the beginning of last week, going, how do I teach people how do I teach people without going into the past and bringing it up? How do I get them past judgment? And the divine says that's not your job. Your job is just to teach them, and then they go with the flow. Your job is just to edify, or inspire, or motivate, educate. And then where they take it is where they take it. You have to know, everyone has to know thyself. And some points within you are going to be so dark, but they're only dark because you haven't shined the light there yet. And the light is within you. You have to go find that light switch that's already there. It's not out in the world somewhere. Your light switch is not out with Biden or Kamala or Trump. Your light switch is within you. Go find it. And the divine has given you many people that have awakened with the abilities already in them to help you get there. They just can't do the work for you. You misjudged that they were here to do the work for you. And if you weren't fixed at the end of it, you get to blame Sandee or Marcus or anybody else. Know thyself. It's not about Sandee knowing you. There you go. It's about you knowing you. I understand why the divine wanted me to start there. The questioner says, thank you. It is important. It is an important example, I believe. And the divine says, slow my roll, because I'm about to slur words and sentences. So I'm excited already. Okay. Hydrate. I'm hydrating and I haven't even started yet. Thank you, says the questioner. That is an important example, I believe. I was wondering if any of those who were subordinate to Adolf at that time were able to polarize in the harvestable nature on the negative path. Now he's moving from Adolf to the people who were under his regime or his order. It's about knowing where you're at in a story and growth and expansion. Okay. Ross says, I am Ra. We can speak only of two entities who may have harvestable in a negative sense, others still being in the physical incarnation. The one known as Herman, I'm going to spell it for you because I don't know much about that history except what history was taught to me in junior high school. Okay, so Herman, Hermann, and the other known as it is preferred to call him Himmler. I've heard that name before, but I don't know the story. Himmler. And this isn't a correction of history books. This is just seeing it from the spiritual side. All right? Okay. The questioner says, thank you. Earlier, we discussed Abraham Lincoln as a rather unique case. Is it possible for you to tell us why the fourth density using now he says it, fourth density being used Abraham Lincoln's body? What is this orientation, or what was this orientation, and when this took place with respect to the activities that were occurring in our social time? So I'm going to have to go back and put some commas in there because I read the sentence as all one sentence so that we understand what the questioner is asking. Is it possible for you to tell us why the fourth density being used Abraham Lincoln's body? There's a comma there. What its orientation was, okay, what the higher being's orientation was, and when this took place with respect to the activities that were occurring in our society at that time. Ross says, I am Ra. This is possible. The questioner says, would it be of value for the reader to know this in your estimation? Ross says, I am Ra. You must shape your queries according to your discernment. Ross says, I'm not going to make that discernment for you. You asked the question, and then you kind of did well, is this important enough to talk about? And tried to put it on Ra's shoulders, so to speak. The questioner says, well, in that case, I would like to know the motivation of this use of Abraham Lincoln's body at that time. So he rephrased the question. Ross says, I am Ra. This shall be the last full query of this session as we find the instrument quite low in vital energy. Okay. The instrument that Ra is channeling through, Ra is assessing her body as he's channeling. Interesting, right? The divine wanted me to share that with you, because when you go into people's spaces that are channeling, whether it's light language or speaking in tongues or reading oracle cards or tarot cards or whatnot, they are expending energy to the body. And Ra is saying in a very polite way, let's respect the body that I respect the body that I'm channeling through. You respect it as well. Okay. Ra goes on to say, the one known as Abraham had an extreme difficulty in many ways, and due to physical, mental, and spiritual pain, was weary of life, but without the orientation of self-destruction. In your time, 1853, this entity was contacted in sleep by a fourth density being. This being was concerned with the battles between the forces of light and the forces of darkness, which had been waged in fourth density for many of your years. Now, I'm going to stop there, because if you want to go on to find out a little bit more about the actual things that were happening at that time, read the book, The Divine Design. The higher beings that channeled through Lori Ladd explained this what they explained as lightness and darkness. All right. Ra goes on to say, the entity accepted the honor / duty of completing, I'm sorry about that, the one known, the entity accepted the honor and duty of completing how does he say that, of completing the one known as Abraham's karmic patterns. Now that makes sense. Do you get that? Abraham Lincoln had a soul already. A fourth density entity, could be one of his spiritual guides, came to help him complete this karmic cycle, the soul's karmic cycle. Possibly, maybe the soul kept incarnating in this particular era to finish what it was seeking, it wanted to finish. That's all. Karma can be just that simple. That our higher being came to seek out a certain lower polarity energy that it wanted to feel, see, be as a human incarnation, and its spiritual guide was helping. And it came to him in an astral dream and gave him some information, or gave him a dream so that he could see his path. Many infinite possibilities. Let's keep reading. Ross says, hold on. Abraham's karmic patterns, and the one known as Abraham discovered that this entity would attempt those things which the one known as Abraham desired to do, but felt it could not. Thus the exchange was made. Oh, now we know about swapping souls. Just blew your mind away, right? The souls could do that. And another soul says, I'm going to help you out. But the divine says, did they really swap? Or is he two-souled? It can't be done unless Abraham, the man, says, let it be so. Abraham desired to do, but what Abraham desired to do, but felt he could not. Thus, the exchange was made. The fact that Ross says exchange, that means that the souls swapped. The entity, Abraham, was taken to a plane of suspension until the succession of its physical vehicle, much as though we of Ra would arrange with the instrument to remain in the vehicle, come out of the trance state and function as the instrument. Want to know a little bit more? Go to the divine design, and they explain how they do that. They make the exchange in fourth density vibration with no harm to the body. But many of us would think that 4D entity is an alien. Whoa. Did you just get some clarity? You see those eyebrows moving? When I read this last night, I went, whoa. The fact that everything that you see, feel, do, read, watching movies, and then they all connect. And you go, wow, I just heard that on so-and-so's. I just did a live about that, Sandra. Wow, everything is connecting. Connect the dots, right? Here we go. So it says, suspended state. What does Diane Cannon do? Hypnosis. What did Rod just say? They put Abraham Lincoln in a suspended state so they could swap souls. Or, man, are we learning something? Did you think we were going to go there today? I'm just saying. Okay. The planetary energies at this time were at what seemed to this entity to be a critical point. Okay, so everybody knows Abraham Lincoln was it was the war against North against the South, and it was supposedly about slaves, but it was about much more. It was about spiritual control. Oh, you say spiritual control. Oh, you're saying that it's not a bad thing. Entities were making choices. Your higher beings came to make a choice of a positive polarity or negative polarity. And everybody, every entity was making a choice, and they were playing the game. They were playing what kids as kids would play when they're on outside in the backyard. We're going to play cowboys and Indians. Well, that's what the spiritual entities was doing in 1858. That was the war, and they used the reason slavery. But there was so much more going on when we start to look at it spiritually, right? That was a critical evolutionary turning point. Ra goes on to say, for that which you know as freedom. Hold on. Forgive me. For that which you know as freedom had gained an acceptance as a possibility among many people. This entity saw the work done by those beginning the democratic concept of freedom. And here's a little note. Did you know what we know as Democrats and Republicans now was different back then? And what was known as Democrats held the same conscious thought as Republicans hold now. They did a swap. They just flip-flopped. And when you start watching, just spiritually watching, you'll notice that in how shifts move. Everything doesn't stay the same. But we're talking about Abraham Lincoln at this point, this critical junction. And guess what? He wanted change. He just feared trying to get there. And his spiritual guide said, okay, time to swap. Is everybody ready? And asked not only the soul that was already taking form in the formation or the role, but also asked Abraham in sleep, in slumber. Abraham actually was part of the fourth density part of that conversation. That's called know thyself. That's called going deep. Okay. So it says, thus entities saw the work done by those beginning the democratic concept of freedom, as you call it. This is still Ross speaking. In danger of being abridged or abrogated by the rising belief and use of the principle of the enslavement of entities. This is a negative concept of a very sensitive nature in your density. Remember that higher beings need you to explain why you're having the feelings and the emotions about what's happening around you. They may not know, they may not be unveiled to everything that and everywhere that they came from. So they're taking on your attributes of what you are experiencing, and they're hoping that you give them the downloads, the explanations of the downloads that you're feeling about wherever you end up in your vibrational place in this earth school, whether it's first kindergarten or whether it's 12th grade. That's just to help you understand the vibrational placement. Okay. This entity therefore went forward into what is it saw as the battle of light or healing of a rupture in the concept of freedom. And remember, Marcus, I remember one live that Marcus did explaining sovereignty. You were born a sovereign being. But your body and your soul have to get to where your spirit comes in as a sovereign being. And if your soul or your spirit or your higher being, whatever you choose to call it, is still a little bit veiled, still a little having just a little bit amnesia, through your information and your unconsciousness and coming into your awareness as well, you've got to wake your higher being up. You can only do that by living. You can only do that by making mistakes and then going back and knowing thyself in what you want to do next after whatever you did before that didn't work out for your highest and greatest good, and maybe the people that you're serving. And Abraham couldn't get there, so that spiritual being that was servicing it as its guide said, "Hey, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Body, mind, soul sat down and had the conversation. I know you can do it. Do you want me to help you? Shall we swap right now? I can help you in this karmic placement that you want to get out of, because I feel that you're embodying wanting to get out of it. Body, mind, and soul have to be in agreement for this exchange to happen. Souls don't just swap without agreement. There are some higher beings that have been part of the lower polarities for so long in service to self only that it can misdirect if the soul isn't aware. Kind of like, so higher beings can be bullies to younger souls that don't see what a soul that has done incarnation for centuries or eons. A soul that's done centuries and centuries of incarnating in all areas, not just humanity, can see an entity that's trying to control outwardly using the lower polarities of service to self only. So the respectful part is that you ask body, mind, and soul, do you want to swap? It's not just done willy-nilly. Your free will is always always acknowledged. Okay, so Ross says this entity did not gain or lose karma by these activities due to its detachment from any outcome. Its attitude throughout was one of service to others, more especially to the downtrodden and the enslaved. The polarity of the individual was somewhat, but not severely, lessened by the cumulative feelings and thought forms which were created due to large numbers of entities leaving the spiritual or physical, actually it says physical plane, due to trauma of battle. The divine within Abraham Lincoln knew that the story had to play out. It was going to play out, body, mind, and soul of each individual that was playing on the playground in that arena. The swap took place because Abraham wanted it to play out, but he knew he was scared to do it because he was like, a lot of people are going to die on both sides. And he was perplexed. And that's what you have a spiritual guide for, or many spiritual guides. That's what you have, many generational guides to guide you. But they can't do anything unless you call on them. There had to be a vibrational embodiment of Abraham Lincoln to say, I need some help vibrationally, and that your spirit guide is like, I'm here. Let's talk about this. Right? Ross says, may we ask if this is the information you requested or if we may supply any further information? The questioner says, I will ask any further questions during the next working period, which should occur in 4 days. That meant that for 4 days they were going to allow her body to rest. We do not want to overtire the instrument. That's what I am. When I do my light language, I'm an instrument. I'm an instrument of the divine. Marcus is an instrument of the divine. And if you are if you are asking service of energy and it's being fulfilled through you, you are an instrument of the divine. And if something isn't working, or you think something is not working, know thyself. Go in and ask the question. And if you are put to sleep and you're having that intimate conversation between body, mind, and soul, and you're seeing shapes and stuff, don't be readily to write it off as a something that's bad for you. Ask. My ego is showing me that this was a dream and saying to me that it was I was invaded by aliens. Well, ask an embodying question, seek it from your higher divine, and give yourself grace for the answer. Because your ego is not going to know how to place that. They're going to place it as, oh, it was a nightmare. They're going to put it, it's going to be put in something that's going to make you comfortable so that you don't dive deep. Back to you, Marcus. I don't
Good
know.
stuff.
My Instagram paused.
Mm-mm.
It was good stuff.
So we have a question from Vashish, good brother that I've recently connected with out in
Okay.
I believe the Eastern Hemisphere. And his question is, how do we stay in acceptance? One sec, wait for that car to go by. There we go. How do we stay in acceptance? What's being presented to us in the physical world and be happy with it? Also, still have the ability to bring peace and harmony for others. Okay, multi-layered question. I shall answer that for you in the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
Whew. All right. Here's what comes through for me to share with you. Number one, how do we stay in acceptance of what's being presented to us in the physical world and be happy with it? Okay. Well, first thing is to stay in acceptance. Sometimes we just simply have to continue to give ourselves gentle reminders of what we're accepting and why. And just, continue to lightly give yourself those reminders if you need it. Acceptance isn't always going to be, you say you accept something and then you're just going to be fully integrated with it. It's almost like an integration process of, blending and coming into a similar frequency and acceptance of the energy and experience that you're having. So through that, yeah, it may take a little bit of a process. It may take a little bit of a time to continuously step into the energy of acceptance. So, giving yourself those gentle reminders as you can. And then another way to be helpful with, naturally being able to accept things and detach is by, and I know that you, Vashish, you've been working with me a little bit with the chakras. So another thing that can help you with being able to naturally be in acceptance is by having clear energy centers, being grounded properly in your root chakra, having that inner stability through your energy system. That energy system being stable and being clear can help you a foundation, a support system, and natural strengthening to your being. And through this clearing and through this balance of your energy system and your chakras, then you're going to have less susceptibility to attachments. You're going to have less susceptibility to feeling anxious or depressed because you're grounded properly. And you're also activated and connected in your heart properly and your crown is also connected to your higher source. So when you have this natural connection flowing through you, it helps supply the support. It helps give you the the beef, the meat, the energy inside of yourself to not have to feel like you need to be worried about and be swayed by whatever it is outside of you that you're having a hard time accepting. So that's something that can always be approached, is continuing to keep yourself grounded properly, continuing to keep your centers cleared so you're clearing out attachments and needs of feeling the outside world for filling you. Next is, so with it being, well, what's being presented in the physical world, keep in mind that the physical world is not finite. Oftentimes I feel like as human beings, we kind of unconsciously, connect the physical world as finite or like super, super physical, that it can't change, or that we're not an alchemist of the material realm. And I just open us up to remember, with a gentle reminder that, the physical world is not like some big tough world that is indestructible and isn't changing and alchemizable. We're always alchemizing, we're always changing the physical world. So, keep that in mind, or at least try to keep that in your mind, that, just because you accept something in the physical world doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity to bring change or alchemization to that form into another form. So just watch out for the limitations within your own mindset that you're placing upon your own self regarding the physical world and your capabilities. And also remember that acceptance is one of the biggest leads into change. When you accept something for what it is in that form, you can then bring change to what that is due to accepting it for what it is. So keep that in mind as well. And then being happy with it. Honestly, I really don't have an answer for that for you, because not everything in life is about being happy. And if we're going through our life polarized into the aspect or into the emotion of having to always be happy or being happy with everything in our life, then we're just going to kind of stay stuck on that polarity, because being happy is not everything. We're here to be full spectrum, full range emotional beings. So keep in mind if you're rejecting part of your own emotions. Keep in mind if you're being afraid of part of your own emotions. And keep in mind if you're kind of trying to escape into the polarization of always having to be happy. It's okay not to be happy. It's okay to be casual. It's okay to be chill and grounded. And it's okay to go through anger, frustration, confusion, and all of this stuff. It's all part of the experience and the journey. So with that being said, this greatly ties into, remember to embrace the journey. Remember that being present is the key to all. Being present with what is, being present with whatever emotions you're feeling in that moment, whatever thoughts you're having in that moment, and then remembering that it's not finite, it's not forever. You can shift and change it due to your awareness and your acceptance of it. And then you can do whatever you need to through your own actions, your own thoughts, and your own words to start bringing change. You always have that gift. You always have that free will until you leave this earth. So just keep in mind all these things. Try not to get so hung up on one-dimensional things or finite things, or believing that you have to always be happy or be this, but try to accept what is in the present moment, and then know that there's another moment to continue. where you can make another choice out of your free will. And then last part of it, also still having the ability to bring peace and harmony for others. I mean, that really goes back to what all the stuff that I just explained to you and shared the tips of. You know, all those things such as keeping yourself clear, keeping yourself grounded, releasing your attachments, limited beliefs, all these things that you continuously devote yourself to and do your self-work with can all help lead you to be that harmonic being that you would like to be, as it will help you be able to stay in balance and stay in fluidity with the self and the world as a fluid connection. And just also keep in mind too, you know, not all of us, not everybody is meant to bring peace and harmony to everybody's life. That's another thing, is like really tapping in to our authentic self and just really being what we're meant to be in that moment. You know, being peace and harmony for somebody, at least for me, it's more of a natural act. It's more of an embodiment rather than I want to seek or I want to become peace and harmony for others. It's more so of through doing the things with myself to be able to bring peace and harmony within my own self, then my natural peace and harmony within my own self is then going to be a beacon, a lighthouse, a rippling effect from my whole being out into the world, and it's going to attract others to be able to absorb that peace and harmony. So again, continuing to stay aware of the self, continuing to do the self-work to make sure that you're staying clear, grounded, and connected, so then your being radiates natural peace and harmony, and that attracts, and that can be delivered into other people's lives. So that's my answers for you. Great question. Thank you for asking all that. I'm gonna pass it back to you, Sandee.
Great question. Just like Marcus said, this 3D experience, we start out looking at it through a 3D lens. Our egoic system, that is the energy that moves between our unconscious or subconscious, whatever you want to call it, through that part of the consciousness that brings that information to us into the conscious living that we do. We get to make choices. Most of us, no, I'll say all of us at one point in time was given information. Our ego was given that information, and all it knew, all it was the if you look at the ego, all it was a conveyor belt passing information, expecting us to see what it's presenting the outside life as, and then us knowing what to do with it. But for some of us, our higher being was still veiled or had amnesia, because that's what it does. That's the process coming into this human experience, into this body. It had to take a little time to assimilate, acclimate, tap in, and then anchor. It had to take all those viable moments in it being part of us. So our ego had to take over that conveyor belt of information that only was meant to give it to us, put it here so it was part of a system. It didn't know it was part of a system, but it presented the outside life to you in like what Marcus says. One-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional. And then we, like Divine Word says, in our now moment, gets to have a discernment of it. I truly believe when I went into meditation, my higher being shared with me that we come in as happiness. It's not about making somebody else happy. They were born with their happiness. Yes, you get to vibrate between each other, engaging in the vibration of happiness, but you're not here to make anybody else happy. You're here to go seek yourself and find the happiness that's within you, and take it in, or push it out, and then go play in the playground with it. And if your happiness is vibrating and mirroring somebody else's happiness, all energy knows is that it seeks other energy like it. Go find you. But see, we've been told for a long time that we don't need to make ourselves happy. We need to make other people happy. And then if we're making other people happy and we see them happy, that's how we measure our happiness. All Ra is telling you, and I guarantee you, in every book, even the books I haven't read by Ra is telling you, we will never usurp your free will to live this life. Like Marcus says, go enjoy yourself. Go seek yourself from it within. Allow it to be pushed out, and allow life to become. And then through your feelings, which you have to have, and through your emotions, which you're going to have, you get to discern if you're happy with what you just put out there. I remember when I first had my real awakening. I've been having an awakening since I was a child, just didn't know it. But when I was first actively awake, I wanted to spiritually jump over living physical form life. I just wanted to go to the spiritual part, man. I wanted to go to the, oh, you mean I'm happiness? Oh, you mean I'm joy? Oh, you mean I'm a creator? I just wanted to go there. And I didn't want to experience the negative. I didn't want to experience all this shit. I didn't want to know that the life that I lived was part of something that I conspired to have. I didn't know that my higher being sat with my ex-husband's higher being and said, we're going to have these range of emotions, and we're going to go through these range of feelings about the emotions, and then we're going to leave that experience. However we leave that experience, we're going to leave it like it is, and then we're going to pick up somewhere else. I didn't know that. The other thing is, understand that the experience of the world is everybody expressing all at the same time. That's the outside world. Everyone is expressing all at the same time. And your ego can only present it to you as chaos. But your higher being will present it to you as you and they, the other selves, expressing at the same time. Is life. Cosmically chaotic. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Know that you can go out and be yourself, and then the happiness that you are, that you find within yourself, because you go it within to know thyself, means that the vibration that you bring out to your playground, energy seeks the mirror of itself, and that energy will find you, and you'll find other happy people. Understand one thing, that if you are called to serve, sometimes you are serving people that are unhappy, depending on what your service is. That's all Ra is saying. When Ra says, ask the question, I can't tell you what question to ask. You can ask the question. I can tell you if that question is going to usurp somebody else's free will in the way we would answer it, and we do not want to go there. So take some time and ask the question, so everybody gets serviced by us, by us. That's what Ra is saying. Know thyself first. and find your happiness within. Then go out on the playground, and you don't have to make anybody else happy. They're just going to, their happiness that's within you is going to vibrate to you. Now I want you to acknowledge that Marcus's infinite information that he gave you and my infinite information that I gave you, you can either merge it, you can judge it, or you can discern it. It's all up to you. Are we ready to read some more? Let me know. I like divine words of wisdom, accept what is in the present moment. I love that. Accept what's in the present moment.
Actually, before we continue.
Okay.
Before we continue, so Vashish had another question, and it was, what shall be the highest purpose of being a life partner? So that is something that can honestly, out of the free will of human life, this is probably how Ra would come across it too, is there is no answer to that. There is no one finite answer to your question. That highest purpose of being a life partner is going to ultimately factor into many different aspects and many different contributions in that present moment. Number one, the archetypes of the human beings that are in connection with each other. Number two, where exactly vibrationally they're on their pathway and what their intentions are. Number three, like what they're currently moving through karmically and what they're going through in their shadows and the wounds that they have and the parts that are healed of them. There's a lot of things that contribute to that present moment and connection that is then going to set factor into that present moment of what the purpose is in its highest form. So until that moment, we don't know. We don't know what the highest purpose is, because that moment isn't here yet in this realm, and it may not even ever come. And if it does come, there are steps and there are actions and there are frequencies that are going to adjust, be exchanged, be utilized through experiences between the parties involved all the way up until that moment. And then there's going to be factors and experiences during that connection that can alter the purpose of that partnership as time goes on. So it's all in flux. There is no set answer to that, really. But you can also set your own intentions within yourself, with the universe, and say, this is the highest purpose that I would like out of my partnership, or this is who I would like to be for the life partner that is attracting into my life. So think about that as well, what intentions you're setting for your highest purpose of being a life partner. And then continuing to embody and do the things that give you the embodiment and the vibration of that intention. But yeah, there really isn't like a one size fits all for that answer.
No one size fits all. It's why? Because we're all infinite expressions of the divine. So somebody could give you their best case scenario of what you could choose, but the infinite possibility of your choice could take you down so many different paths with a life partner. Some people are you say life partner, and somebody might say my now partner right now, because tomorrow might bring me another now partner. Do you know what I mean? So infinite possibilities are endless. It's I know it sounds like a cop-out. It really does. But it starts with you. Here we go again. Go within. It's about know thyself. This is what Ra keeps saying. Know thyself. If you know, it doesn't only have to be with a life partner. It's about starting a business, or deciding you're going to go to school for college for 6 years and becoming a doctor. And do you really want to do that? Know thyself. Go within. No one has one right answer for you for anything in your life. You do. If you go in and know your intentions. What are your intentions? I'm going to use myself as an example. I got some information about a test that I took about my bone density, right? And you say bone density, and I automatically think all these tests that I'm saying, it's about growing old. I had to feel that, and I had to have emotion about that. And then the result of the test, I had to sit down, take a moment to go within, have my moment of crying, because that was my emotion, and then sit down and say, who am I going to be now, trying to figure out me and what the label is, osteoporosis. All right. But I had to know that label, because that's the label that they gave it on the outside. Now that's the label that I can take inward and go and sit with my higher being and say, who am I in this next journey of my life? Because it's not one size fits all. It's just really not. It's who I decide I want to be in any story that is running in that projector of, I'm going to just point up here, because most of us think our mind is here, but our mind is in every cell of our body. What is the cells in my body that are projecting to my bones? What is that next visual going to be? My next embodiment. I was just so really, I wasn't devastated or anything. I was like, whoa, I thought I spiritually skipped the mark of that. Right. And my ego had to go at me. Oh, old age, and see, you're not missing any of this, that kind of thing. But it's about sitting at the seat of your soul. It's about getting to know myself. Who do I want to be? So that person that I want to be is, okay, let me see. And the answer isn't going to come as far as the physical world and the person who took the test and the people that I'm going to have to sit and talk to. I won't be able to sit and talk to them, because guess what? They're behind. They said, Miss Marshall, we're behind, but we can make an appointment for you for November. So I have to decide, am I going to be the person that's going to sit and twiddle my thumbs and, do this until November? No, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to go and find out what I can do holistically about it. Not that I'm knocking my doctor or anything. My doctor has always been very, very, very well, but they do what they need to do. They're very adamant to share the information and the infinite possibilities that they have for you. Know thyself, Sandee. And in knowing that thyself, I knew I don't want to go back to a vibrational moment of victimhood. That can't be me. For me, it can be it for whoever says I want to be in pity thyself. The divine says, let it be so. Ra is saying anything that happens in this third density, depending on where you're seeing it, what lens you're seeing it from, you are the creator. You are the one true creator. So you want a partner, a life partner. You have to decide what your life partner is going to be like. That's who you find out who you are. And then from that point of who you are, what do you want? That's why Marcus is saying one size just doesn't fit all. It's not a cop out that we're trying to cop out and make you do it on your own. But if you go within and know thyself, you start asking questions to you. What type of person do you want to live with for the rest of your life? Who do I, as Sandee, want to be for the rest of the next chapter of my life, with what somebody told me about osteoporosis and where my bone density is? Do I just want to give up on my bones? Do I want to have the cells in my bones that are have an access to the gift that the divine gave me, which is the gift of health? What do I want the gift of health? That's energy. All it is the energy. What do I want that energy to tell my bones? You see what I mean? The one true creator named Sandee. What do I want? The one true creator, that is Marcus, helping his father to heal. What does he want? Him knowing thyself and knowing that he can have a conversation with his father to know, so his father knows himself and help him with that, because they are collaborating as the one true creator. Did I just blow you away? I had to sit with that, and I blew myself away. I blew myself away this morning, literally, when I saw his video, and I asked the divine, how do I pray for this? Because I don't know what his father wants. I don't know what he wants. How do I do that without usurping anybody's free will? And the divine said, just open your mouth and I'll take it from there. I am the one true creator that is the instrument that is being used. That's all. No great glory. Just me. You are the one true creator seeking a life partner. What do you want? All right. So we people are saying, oh wow, we got a lot. All experiences are for the higher good of the divine. Absolutely. Yep. Knowing thyself allows you to create and experience realities from that knowing. Exactly. Our mind is in every cell of our body. Exactly. Every cell. Even scientists are coming to that, changing the shift that our brain is not our mind. Our brain is the CPU, like your computer. And our brain takes in information from our mind, takes it in, stores it. And then when our cells say, hey, I need information, like checking out a book in a library, right? Any more questions?
It gets sparked. It gets sparked by that sacral, where we start to feel emotion and senses. And then those emotion and senses trigger that information stored in the brain from the mind. And then we start having a little turn of the wheels happen, and our projector goes off, and we start perceiving things and sensing and having these experiences.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And don't get us
But then
wrong.
when you get deeper into it, it's like, what's in your movie reel? What's in your subconscious?
Right.
What's stored inside of your body that you're holding on to? And all these things contribute to that movement of the wheels, because they're in the way of it. They're in the track. And then we experience different manifestations, as well as different triggers and wounds and projected realities through this. And this is where having that nice, clear temple and container comes key.
Yep. And do not get me wrong, the brain has cells within it that has the mind there. Your mind is in every cell of your body. They're talking to each other, man. They're talking to each other. You have many talking to each other. And then they turn around to you, the throat chakra, that what are you saying? Because guess what? The universe that is the creator is saying, oh, I'm listening to what you're saying. Now, if I could have just said, this is the scenario they give, I don't know the exact scenario until I sit down with these people and find out what the three options, their three options are, right? I just don't know that. But they have an option. You can take a pill, one pill once a week for 3 years. You can do, take a shot once a week for 5 years, blah, 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 right? I need to know the information. I do need to know that information to find out what works for me and if I even want to do that. Because I've already been doing my Google and doing my information and finding out on the other hand, so that I have this information that when I go and sit down with my doctor, I have holistic information that I want to share with them. And they have because they already got the information that they want to share with me, what they think is for my greatest and highest good. Right? That's the same thing you need to be doing for yourself. If you want to get off meds and you want to do it holistically, and you have a doctor who wants to stay in alignment with you, not in agreement, just alignment, then so that your body and your mind and your soul are on one alignment, go in and know thyself, and then go find out about you and what you want. It's not just about health. It can be about love. It can be about writing music. You're an author. It could be about being a social creator, a digital creator. It can be so much information that's in the outside world. But if you don't go in and know who you are, if you don't go in and know yourself, you don't know what to present to the divine for you. Then guess what? You get into the vibrational momentum that the world is fucking you. Life is fucking you. You get to blame everybody else for shit that is going on wrong with you. And the first thing is the world. But you haven't presented your embodiment of you and what you want the world to present to you. So it's going to present what you are most vibrating on. And if you aren't acknowledging that, if you aren't going deep and pulling out those library books that you don't want anymore, then the energy that's here to serve you is going to present to you that unconscious knowledge of what it believes you want, and it's going to present it as the world or a relationship or no relationship. This is all Ra is saying when we're learning about Abraham Lincoln. He knew he came for something. He knew he came to express something, and he had a plea. He said, I'm afraid of something. I don't know what I'm afraid of. Show me. And they came to him in a dream. And they asked him, well, what do you want to do about it? We've got infinite modalities by which you can serve, by which you can move, by which you can create. What do you want to do? We can give you some scenarios, and they gave him a scenario of exchanging a soul that would be more better suited for what he needed as he was moving through what he was going through. And that just happened to be 1858, a civil war between the North and the South about slavery, right? And that's also about his assassination as well. When you think that him and his higher beings didn't know he was going to be taken out, just didn't know when, but that was part of the higher calling. When you're done with the service, don't worry about it. We got it. Doesn't make it right or wrong. When you're looking out at it, it might be wrong. Why? Because you were given feelings and emotions so that it would turn you to what you need to do next for you. It's your roadmap. That's all Ra is saying. As Ra is telling his questioners that ask him to tell him if the question is right, he says, no, go know thyself. It's up to you to ask the question. The only thing that I will tell you is that we can't answer the question is that if it usurps the free will of the creators expressing as a human counterpart. Go back, know thyself, and ask the right question. Because if you're saying it's for the highest and greatest good of all that is going to be served with this book, ask the question. That blows me away. Because for a long time, I've been blaming the outside world for certain things, but I hadn't been going inward and asking and embodying question about me and how I saw the outside world. Back to you, Marcus. Yummy.
This brings me to a beautiful segue into going ahead and sharing with you guys the final of the 7 chakras, as we have not covered third eye chakra, and this perfectly aligns with the third eye. This conversation, our perception, and the way that we're projecting our reality. So I'm gonna pull up the final of the 7, since we've gone over the other 6 in the last 2 episodes, just to finish off the 7. And what a perfect segue! Wow. So the third eye chakra, for everybody out there, the third eye chakra is located between the eyebrows. Now, when I say between the eyebrows, I don't mean in the center of the forehead, but right down there between the brows. That is where the third eye chakra resides. So then, the mantra for the third eye it's similar to Om, but it is not Om. It is AUM, which is Om. And the crown chakra is actually Om. But mantras, for people that are not familiar, you take a deep breath in, And then you just open your mouth and you allow yourself to naturally vocalize and push out the mantra. And that tone and that frequency helps readjust and calibrate that center. So an example is you take a deep breath in. And what you'll notice is as you do that, you'll tune into that frequency, you'll tune into that perception of area of energy, and you may feel it moving, recalibrating, vibrating. And then another thing too on mantras that I was taught was you want to try to do half and half with your exhale. So exhaling with the mouth open half of the time, and then as you continue to exhale, closing the mouth and continuing to push out. So then what that does is it projects out the vibration, and then when your mouth is closed, it then makes that vibration bounce off of your lips and then go back into your being and start to restructure, recalibrate your being as that vibration gets pushed back into you. So the third eye center, the traits, it vibrates at 852 hertz for people that are into sound healing. You can see singing bowls, tuning forks, and many other frequencies that utilize this. And then the color that it resonates at is indigo. So it's between blue and purple. And then the parts of the body that it governs and is connected to. This is going to be your pituitary and pineal gland. It's going to be your forehead, your eyes, your nose, and your brain. So these are all directly connected to the third eye center. Now, this stuff that I want to share, now, everything in life can be important, so to say. But the reason why I'm going to emphasize that this stuff is important is because this stuff really, circulates around the things that allow you to be able to really operate and function when it comes to, feeling your chemicals and having the chemicals restoring and releasing throughout your body properly. So with that being said, the third eye chakra is directly correlated to your circadian rhythm, as well as your biological clock and cycles. This is your sleep cycles, the way that you're in tune with the world, the way that you're in tune with nature, the way that your body's functioning, the way that it tells at certain times to be able to operate and do its functions. That's your biological cycles and your circadian rhythm. Now, your hormones and chemical regulation is also directly related to the third eye. This is going to be like your melatonin, your melanin, your serotonin, your dopamine, all those things that are stored in the brain. That's going to be governed by the third eye chakra. And, with the third eye being the pineal gland, there's forces out there in the negative polarity that are well aware of what the third eye is in the pineal gland. So what we see in this time period is major resistance towards our ascension. And that resistance comes in forms such as fluoride in your tap water, fluoride in your toothpaste. Because what does fluoride do? Fluoride is a hazardous chemical that literally comes in bins and barrels. And this fluoride, when we consume it, it hardens and it decalcifies, or it calcifies, that's the correct term, calcifies your pineal gland. So when it hardens and calcifies your pineal gland, it then dries out and drains those important chemicals that get released from your brain. So then what that does is it makes you docile. It makes you easy to control and easy to manipulate. The Nazis used it in their water system during that time period. Nazi scientists secretly but not secretly came over to the United States after everything happened. They then integrated their knowledge into the United States system. Every cause has an effect. There's no random coincidences. Fluoride didn't even start becoming traced in our tap water until this period happened. Where does fluoride being used in what to? It gets tied to Nazi Germany. Those same scientists came over to the United States of America. Believe it or don't believe it, we are where we are. So along with this, it is also our direct connection to our psychic senses or psychic abilities, as well as our intuitive guidance. So along with this, it is also one of the main centers where we can do astral travel, as well as access lucid states between dimensions. And then this is our manifesting center. This is our projector. This is where we perceive and project our reality into the world. And it is also where we begin to assimilate and manifest the holographic reality that we are in the perception of. And then lastly, it is also where we access higher divine wisdom and deep insight behind the experiences that we're having, behind the problems that we're facing, the challenges. When our third eye center is open and clear, we're able to kind of pierce that veil a little bit, see through the experience that we're having, and start to decipher the information, the codes behind the experience. Now, what do overactivations and blockages look like in the third eye chakra? Overactivations can look like having an ungrounded mind, being mentally manipulated upon others, or mentally manipulating others, psychic attacks, being over analytical, and being in psychosis-like states. These are symptoms of having an overactive third eye chakra. Blockages in the third eye can result into things like head pressure, insomnia and nightmares, confusion on life path, being under mind control, hard to see the bigger picture or solutions behind your experiences or problems, cognitive distortions within your perspective. And then I'm not sure what that last one says. Let me see here. And then it says, limited or degrading thoughts. You can also say self-sabotaging thoughts. These are all signs of having blockages within your third eye chakra. And then I'll go over some foods and herbs as well that you guys can use to help activate and clear this energy. You can use red onion, cabbage, raisins. Avoid fluoride. And then you can use mushroom superfoods, cacao, rosemary, juniper, mugwort, valerian root, kava. And I'll also go ahead and add lavender on there as well. And chamomile. As you know, kava, valerian, chamomile, lavender, they're all known for relaxation. They're all known for soothing the mind. And that's why they resonate for the third eye. And then mugwort. Mugwort is one of the most known herbs to help you with dreaming and lucid states. So that is the indigo ray, the third eye chakra. And I just wanted to share that with everybody due to the nature of our conversation and the relation to the mind and brain, and just give you guys some deeper insight into that relation on a multidimensional level. Back to you, Sandee.
I remembered to take myself off of mute. Thank you, Marcus. I'll probably have to talk to you about the chakra that works with my bones and everything, so that just I just had that thought. It's like, okay, not just holistically, but I have to talk about that chakra. I think it's
I love that though.
Yeah, I think it's either sacral, or I think it's either root or sacral, but we'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to start they took a break. Remember, they took a break and allowed the vessel to rest. So Ra says, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. All right. So kind of like saying, hi, I'm back. But they're here for the one true creator, which is, guess what? You. Right? The questioner says, would you please give us a definition of the mind, body, spirit complex totality? And mind / body / spirit complex totality. Ra says, I am Ra. There is a dimension in which time does not have sway. In this dimension, the mind, body, spirit is the eternal dance of the present. May be seen in totality. And before the mind, body, spirit complex, which then becomes a part of the social memory complex, is willingly absorbed into the allness, ALLNESS, of the one creator. The entity knows itself in its totality. Remember, Ra is a social memory complex. Ra is not a mind, body, spirit complex. Social complexes are all of the divine that were on that planet, or a celestial consciousness known as the planet that they were on. They became social memory complexes. Eventually, what will become, we've had eons and eons to do it, but hey, the divine says, I'm patient, right? And it's the entity, the divine, that's moving and expressing at you, that's seeking itself in its totality. Want to play a make-believe story? Once upon a time, there was the one true creator that decided it wanted to seek itself in this part of the vibrational universe it was in. It sat there and it said, I would just love to know myself in this physicality here. I think I'll do it. And it threw itself out into that darkness that was called creation. And it had an embodying thought about itself in physicality. And it became you, it became me, it became Marcus, it became. I said, now I think I'm going to go out and play as these expressions of the one true divine creator that I am. Let it be so. Let me go. Let me play. Let me be that is Sandra. Let me be that is Marcus. Let me be that is all of humanity that will come now, that will come in a past now, in a present now, in a future now. Let me be it all. And it hasn't closed the book and said the end yet. In the allness of the one creator, the entity knows itself in its totality, in everything that is and is not. It knows itself. This mind, body, spirit complex totality functions as, shall we say, a resource for what you perhaps would call the higher self. The higher self, in turn, is a resource for examining the distillations of third density of its experience and programmings that are further experienced. This is also true of the densities of 4, 5, and 6 with the mind, body, spirit complex. It's a totality coming into consciousness in the course of the 7th density. 7th density is believed, Ra believes the 7th density is that moment where we meet the star chakra, home. That we get to come home and we get to, shed the physical form, give it back to earth consciousness, and come in and write our book, our workbook, and hand it over to the one true creator so it can put it in the library. You can call it the Akashic Records, whatever you want to call it. It's the expression of Sandra, the soul of Sandra, the higher being of Sandra, vibrationally writing my memoirs and putting it in the Akashic Records, the library of the one true source. Back to you, Marcus. I'm telling you, I'm vibrating all over.
The Akashic. Real Akasha. What is the Akashic Records for everybody out there? I'm sure we've heard of it. I'm sure some of us know. The Akashic Records. The Akashic Records is where the records, the signatures, the archetypes, the moments of experiences are stored within this whole entire creation and universe. And yeah, it might be hard to grasp, of course, to this human lens, but when you think about it, ideally, I mean, there's got to be something within this whole creation that is keeping track of the order and how things happen and how things are able to operate. So that is what the Akashic Records is. So what you'll find is there will be people that can tap into the Akashic Records. This is just a dimension, it's a realm. And when you tap into it, you're able to access different information. You can call it files if you want to call it files. And this information is either, past, present, future. It's all one and the same, all in a space of time and space, not really a linear thing. And you're able to energetically connect with that time and space in any moment, so to say. It's a non-linear type of deal. It's more of a quantum deal. And it's mental. You mentally travel there. You mentally connect with that dimension. And through the Akasha, you're able to see, not only for yourself, but for others as well, oh, there might actually be a fragment of my soul being that is still attached to this timeline, that is still attached to this experience. Therefore, it's causing a distortion in my being. It's causing a wound in my being, or it's causing a continuous karmic pattern within my being. I've been in sessions where people will be receiving Reiki or they'll be receiving guidance, and I'm not the one doing the facilitating, but I'll sit there and watch it. And what we'll find out is that some of the patterns, some of the habits, some of the quote unquote negative behaviors that we bring into this life and that we continue to carry sometimes actually do have to stem from previous lifetimes that we've had. In those previous lifetimes, the karmic energy, the things that we were holding on to, were never addressed before we transitioned. So since it was never addressed before we transitioned, that energy consciously and mentally carried with us in our spiritual being. And then we go into the hall, go into the Akasha. They also call it the Hall of the Mentee. This is where you find, quote unquote, Thoth and Anubis, the weighing of the scale, Mot, Isis. And that weighing of the scale is the heart versus a feather. You want to have your heart as light as a feather. And Anubis is the one who does the scale. And the reason why is because if your heart is not as light as a feather, then you're vibrationally not able to ascend into the next form that your soul would like to ascend into due to your vibration. Now, what happens is if your heart is not as light as a feather, then you get given opportunities. You get shown, these are the type of paths, these are the type of dimensions that you can incarnate into, and then have experiences in this incarnation to then lighten your heart back to a feather. And there's no right or wrong. There's no real punishment or good deed about any of this stuff. It's just all vibration and what is. In order for you to ascend to a different dimension or into a different realm, then you spiritually have to be vibrating at a vibration that matches that realm. And if that is where you want to get to in your soul journey, then it's okay if you're not there yet. You'll just go through experiences and go into incarnations that will help you get there. It's all here for you. It's all to help you. It's all to give us a beautiful, immaculate journey of human conception and soul journey. So if we can remember that and kind of let go of the whole, victim mentality, or I'm not good enough, or this is good or bad, we can then realize there's things in place to be able to make sure that we always have opportunity, and it's eternal, continuous in the soul journey. And that's where we can embrace a little bit more fun and really have fun with this journey as well, by remembering that. But yeah, that's the Akasha, and we can all access it. I also don't want you guys to separate yourself from psychic mediums and readers and think that they're on this platform, or they're on this pedestal, and they're the only ones that can access the Akashic records. We can all access it, and a lot of us probably access it daily but don't even realize it consciously. Whenever you're sitting in your mind and then all of a sudden you're time traveling and you start having memories of something, or you start experiencing something that's just coming into your perception about the future possibly, or the past, that's the Akashic records. You're tapping into it.
Or having deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I read the book, The Divine Design by Lori Ladd, and they talked about the Akashic records, everything is infinite. Everything is possibility in the way we learn it. There's so many versions of the Akashic records, so many ways that it can be explained to us. But why? Because the divine creator is everything and nothing all at the same time. It's going to be the best version and mirror of you to have and be that what you need in the explainable moment. When I was kind of blown away when I learned that karma and the Akashic records are only available in 3D. And they're available through the Akashic records are what everybody is known as, is always talking about DNA. That myself, through my DNA is the Akashic records for my soul to tap in and say, oh, it's the note keeper. It's the journal that my soul gets to say, oh, I check off, oh, I did this, and I did this, and I did this. Right? And I was blown away that at the time that my mother passed away, her Akashic records weren't needed anymore. Her Akashic records as a human vessel merged back with the divine or the creator of everything back into the great hall of records. So when people are helping tap into my mother's Akashic records, they're going directly to the source of that information. It's not that my mother's soul is keeping it. It's they're tapping in to the divine, saying, okay, I'm going to let you know you're here to give this information to Sandra from the soul that was Annie. Okay, go ahead. Why? Because the divine is the great creator of all and nothing all at the same time. And my mother at birth through the creative sources dropped nuggets into my DNA, which is my Akashic records. So I got those nuggets for my I was blown away that my DNA was 10% of DNA was for me physically, and the other 90% was information for my higher being. I was blown away. I was saying, "Ooh, that resonates so with me." It might not resonate for someone else, but it helped me because it wasn't a question that I was asking. Because I said I wanted to know what this Akashic Records is. I want to know how they can, if it's only available in 3D. How is people tapping into my mother's DNA when she's not here anymore? But now I understand. It merges back with the divine that has all that information in a great library. It's a vibrational library, and it makes so much sense to me. What did in those Akashic records, what did my mother in her vibrational give to my body that hadn't been taken care of? And guess what? Do I even want to take care of it? That's free will. I can leave it alone. I don't have to embark on it. But I get to sit at the seat of my soul and know myself and ask the question, did she leave that for me to spend so much time on that in that area of my life, or does she just want me to go on and surrender it? That was the big $1 million question for me. Does she want me to spend a portion of my life trying to fix a distortion, or does she want me to surrender to the distortion and not give it life anymore, to surrender it to the divine, to transform it, to alchemize it, to put it out as energy that can be utilized to create something different for me? Instead of saying, "Ooh, I got to endure this. I got to endure this. This is the pain. This is my generational curse that I've got to do," and then not enjoy any of my fucking life. And when I was asking that question, when I was going inward, seeking to know about thyself, I thought that was the most selfish question I could ask. I felt so embarrassed to go to my higher being to be selfish like that. And my higher being just said, "You have free will, Sandee. Do you want to do it? Have you discerned how long it would take you to do that, and what it would cost in for your highest and greatest good to keep pursuing that?" It was like, no, I don't want to do it if it's gonna, right? I didn't have to go to my mother to, she's one of my spiritual guides. but I had to go straight to the source, right? Higher versions of ourselves, higher versions of selves we know and remember. In the lower versions of self, we choose to forget. So the Akashic records allow us to assist us for those who choose to forget. This is true. This can be a truth. Not the only truth, but it can be a truth. We have free will. So once again, I still have to go within to know thyself. Who is thyself to you? Is it your higher being? Or, some people say, hey, it's my ego. I gotta, I gotta whip my ego into shape, or I gotta do an ego death. Guess what? It's free will. It's your choice. You were, as Ross says, the polarities were given to you for creation. Whoo, shit, for creation. We were to dabble in all of it and then have a discernment about how we wanted to create. We were given the ability to tap into the Akashic records, to sit with our higher being and look at the book and go, can you see the book? Oh, we wrote this. We wrote this like, do you remember when you wrote this? Right? To our higher being. And our higher being goes, yeah, I wrote that like three lifetimes ago. And sit with the higher being and say, well, are we going to even bother with that one? Is it a need for us do you think it's for the highest and greatest good of the life that I'm living right now? Do we need to do that one anymore? And your higher being can certainly say, well, I want to feel it a little bit. Have we felt it? Could you explain if I've already felt it? Well, yes, you felt lack. I was poor for a long time. Oh, well, take me back. When were you poor? How did that feel? And you could say, yeah, well, hold on. Uh-oh. Okay.
Damn, son, where'd you...
Right? I'm here. Hold on.
She is here. She's there.
I'm here. I had a call. They'll have to leave me a message and I'll call them back. Of course, it's from Kaiser, right? So they'll leave me a message. They probably want to drop me some more information, right? But anyway, but it's about you sitting and explaining how you felt and what your emotions were about certain situations that came up. And then when you explain it to your higher being, then your higher being gets, oh, that's what lack felt like. Oh, that's what hate felt like. Oh, it gets to understand that, oh, I experienced it. Right? It's waiting for you to give it direction on it's you sitting with your Akashic records or like you say, your daily journal. That's what Akashic record is. It's your soul's daily journal from the life before on what it accomplished and what it didn't, what it's seeking through you, through the one true creator as Sandee. Does that blow you away? That you can sit and have a collaboration or a conference with your higher being and find out, oh, we've experienced that. We don't have to do that again. Let's surrender that. Let's give that back to the one true creator because we've already felt that. We've already experienced that. Oh, but you're experiencing this one right now. You're experiencing the growth and expansion in currency and growing your currency and growing business, or you're experiencing what it feels like to be distance from love or whatnot. Because I just went through an experience of somebody walking out on me, and your higher being said, "Oh, is that what that felt like? Okay, what's next? checking it off, you know, right? This is what the Akashic records are for. And remember this, these are labels. The word Akashic records, that's a label. Whatever the beingness that discovered that first as a label had the vibration and looked into the language of man or humankind and found that word. You can call it whatever you want. Right?
You can call it the library of dopeness.
Yeah. Yes, you can call it whatever you want. But in the book, in the raw, in the divine design, what blew me away was that the Akashic records and karma are only available to us in 3D, in third density. When body, mind, and soul move into fourth density and fifth density, the need for karma isn't necessary. But guess what? You don't have to die to do that. That it's a consciousness. If you moved and you shifted and you felt that, oh, I'm in a different energy, and you're looking at 3D through a fourth dimensional consciousness, fifth dimensional consciousness, you're not looking at the Akashic records as it was in 3D. You're not looking at karma as it was in 3D. And guess what? The divine says that's okay because you've shifted. It doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. It just means that you're in it. You're just looking at it a different way. Right? So guys, who know thyself. That's all. That's all that Ra is saying. All these people that he has talked about up till now, they sought a part of themselves. Some of them liked what they found and some of them didn't. And some of them just didn't care. And all Ra says is that I give you an infinite version of what it really is from the spiritual side of it, as opposed to your history books. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Back to you, Marcus. And I do have to go because that phone call, I'm quite sure I have to call him back. Woohoo! Yeah. I laugh.
2-hour mark.
We're at the 2 hour. Ooh, yummy. We're at the 2 hour.
And
mark.
I actually have, before we go, I have the definition pulled up for us of the word Akasha. So they can also call it Akasha, Akashic records, Akasha. In the dictionary, Akasha means a universal etheric field in which a record of past events is imprinted. So that's what Akasha means. So Akashic records is kind of coined off of that term, Akasha. And when it says etheric field, this is saying metaphysical. It's like a light body dimension. Kind of looks like the Matrix, so to say. And it's like transparent and lucid because it's in a light body state, a fourth dimensional state. But yeah, that's the definition of Akasha. And just wanted to share that with you guys, just so you guys can have that awareness. And yeah, beautiful episode again. Thank you for everybody with all the questions, people participating and sharing, divine words of wisdom, Vashish, everybody else. And your question, Vashish, before we go, what can the Akashic record room being dark symbolize? I think honestly that's more of a question that you have to sit with your own self and go within. and maybe ask, the universe, ask your higher power what it means for you. Just really ask your own self internally and with your higher power, what does it mean for the Akashic records to be dark for me? And ask it for you. Don't try to find the answer for everybody else. Just try to get what the answer is for you. What does this mean for me? Why am I experiencing this? And then see what happens through stillness and meditation and what comes to you intuitively.
Yeah. Because, guys, remember, without there can't be light without dark. It's just a polarity. It's a universal experience. The dark is what you make it. Excuse me, what you design it. You're the designer. You're the creator. You're the one true creator. Do you get that? You're the one true creator seeking itself as you. So go within, asking and embodying question about why that shadow of you is showing. The darkness is showing. It wants you to see something. It wants you to peer through it and break the veil. That's all. That's all. It's energy asking you a question. What next? And it's asking you because you're the one true creator. What next? Oh, what's next is we're going to see you on Sunday at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What's next is we're going to see you on Sunday at 6:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That could be a possibility, breaking the veil. Did you like that segue into that? I did.
Yeah. Beautiful segues today.
Oh,
The divine's a great companion at segues when we allow it to flow.
Gratitude. We are truly grateful. Thank you. We are truly grateful that you graced us with your presence for wisdom and to learn wisdom and understanding, to take that which is available for you and go create with it. That's available for you to make a discernment with it. That's available for you to even make a judgment for it. It's however you want. You are expressly being you. And we're here to have a conversation and read a book and share some information and just allow the divine to flow. I am thankful to Ra for the channeling that Ra has done. I am thankful for Ra, to them, that they came well over 11,000 years ago, walked amongst us, graced us, and then decided, ooh, it's not working, we gotta go. But they did not leave us. I'm glad that they set up their caravans and they watched over us till there was a time that they could communicate with us again. They did not give up on us. Why? Because they are the expression of the one true divine that is all and that is nothing, all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so thankful and grateful that I got to share them with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just keep in mind, everybody, my final words. Keep in mind that we are in a living existence. In this living existence, it requires cooperation. It requires action, accountability, responsibility, co-creating. So just keep that in mind. Futures are not set. nothing is finite to happen, we, by moment, are altering our timeline by our choices, the things that we continue to amplify in our space. So just please keep that in mind. Because I know there's been a lot of forgetting and amnesia of the accountability and the responsibility of being a third dimensional human being in this realm. You guys have the answers, and you guys can access the answers. You guys all have the power within you, consciousness or divine light. And we are all capable of making change in some type of manner, whether it is the very smallest micro level to the biggest macro level. And I just invite you to open up beyond limitations of the mind, to just ask yourself or state, what can I do with this? Or I would like to experience something different. And just know that that's always an option for you. No matter how much you're struggling, no matter how much you're going through something. Starting with the mind on how much we are allowing that to take over our life is a key step. We can shift that perspective a little bit to just a slight difference of, I can heal from this, and I can start the process. I can get things in motion. I'm not stuck with this for this amount of years. I'm not stuck with this for my whole life. I love you guys.
I took that in because I'm not stuck with osteoporosis for this next half of my journey. I'm just not. There's an infinite possibility out there for me and my story. I'm going to take what resonates for my highest and greatest good, and I'm going to create the story for my body. It's not about how other people want to give to you their story and expect you to stay in it because they're still in the past where you were at. It's okay that they stay there, but it's also okay for you to say, you know what? I had enough of that story, dealt with it then. I'm going over here, but it's okay that you stay over there. And there's going to be moments of energy pockets where you actually have some expansion with them. It's just not the parts that they want to hold you captive to. That's okay. Right? So you're going to grow and expand from the time you leave this live. You're going to grow and you're going to expand to the time you come back on Sunday and visit with us again. You're going to just keep growing and expanding. You're going to shift your conscious view of everything. Doesn't mean that you're going to totally believe everything today, but you're going to take a portion of it that can alchemize your puzzle pieces of your life and change you forever. Because all that is promised to you. Life isn't promised to be perfect. Life is promised to change. Did you get that? Life isn't promised to be perfect. Life is just promised to change. And through the change is infinite possibilities. You're the one true creator. What you gonna do today, baby? Be blessed. Peace.
Wholeness and balanced love. See you all on Sunday.